I just said all of that without my mic on. But anyway, so let's start this over. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jones. I'm a 15-year Pokemon trading card game veteran, and tonight, for the next couple of hours, my goal and my intention is to make sure that you, ladies and gentlemen, have left this stream better than you were when you found me. I understand that there are a lot of things that you could do and spend your Sunday evening doing, but I appreciate whether you watch 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 6 minutes, or even 7 minutes, or you just stay for the entire time. Anyways, a little bit helps, and I hope that you get something out of it. Anyways, so tonight, a couple of regionals wrapped up around the world today. I think one was in Gdansk, and I think the other was in Brisbane. Going to definitely take a look at some of the results from those, talk about that, and we're also going to talk about the implications of what that can mean for your locals, your league challenges, and your league cups coming up. So what that's going to do, what that's going to look like for everybody, and how we should adjust. All right. So that being said, let's see what we got going on. All right. Yeah. So really been hitting Grimmsnarl really hard, and right now, for me personally, it is it's something like going into this weekend. I've got some league cups coming up um, that I definitely would consider taking. Now, however, considering what happened, I'm going to pull it up here in a second. Considering how this weekend played out in Gdansk and Brisbane, it's really going to kind of dictate. It's really going to dictate what, at least for me, my meta choice for the weekend is going to be. So let's get this pulled up real quick. I had the game capture. Let's get the screen capture going. No, I don't want that. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. So let's see this. So obviously Daniel Magda, or whatever you say his last name, got it with Goldie Rocks. So Goldango with Lunatone and Solrock. That's really cool. So he had the Flareon deck. Grimmsnarl in third. I think I might take a gander at that. So this is one big thing. Charizard still hanging in. That's another big one to look at too. Um, so and this list is on Twitter. You can look it up. I do like how all of these are posted. This list was posted on Twitter right before the tournament started. Let's see what this looks like. If it'll load. Okay, so this is. Oh, wow. No Artisan. That's interesting. So Arthur doesn't play Artisan. He plays Psyduck, which that kind of makes sense. So, like, it's kind of weird, honestly. Like, in my list, like, the Shaman could easily be a Psyduck. And I think a lot of it, too, is, like, knowing what you're getting into. Hey, Red Flags. Thanks for joining tonight. Hope you had a good day. Hope your evening's going well. But, like I said, I think that yeah, so like I was saying, I think a lot of it too is what's going to happen as far as like, I think it could be any card depending on like the meta. I mean, Psyduck could be Shaman, it could be a Badoo. And you got like in my list, like it plays the Tatsugiri, but I know for a fact too, like what's gonna happen is that a lot of the times people will just like look at this, and you guys know this before, like I've talked about this. Um, they'll just copy and paste it and not really try to think of the implications. Like the Psyduck's great, but you could go into a tournament that maybe there's only one or two Dragapults and you don't see a single like one, or kind of like in the case of like my last League Cup a couple weeks ago, you play against one Dragapult and it doesn't even play like it doesn't play any of the ghosts. So it's just it's an interesting thing, and I think like as far as like the whole, this makes sense because it's the nature of the beast right now that like everybody and their sister either plays Gardevoir, Dragapult, and then Goldango, and then maybe like one or two other things. So yeah, so I mean, it really doesn't really seem much of like what's going on here. So the two Frostlass is fine. Yveltal is good. Pecharunt, this is cool. This gets us around stall locks and things like that. They're on Hughes on the balloon. We've got the same switch. Now this is interesting though. He only plays the one rare candy, which if you tuned in any last week, I kind of made the conclusion, the assumption that like I feel like it's better to play two rare candy if I'm only playing two Morgrem. So there's that. The boss is about the same, catcher's the same. And I think our supporter counts are a little different, but I always like... Oh, and he plays one extra Dark Energy. But I always like doing this. Like, I always like coming on here and then, like, seeing these lists that do really well and seeing, like, okay, I'm only just these many cards off or this many cards different from them. And for me, that's actually pretty motivating. Like, I enjoy seeing that because then it makes me feel good about myself and my deck building. And as you guys know, like, I don't rarely ever just like copy and paste something off the internet. A lot of my stuff is, I put in the work. You guys are here multiple times a week and you see my stuff on the tournaments online. So there's that. So there's Charizard. Again, this looks like the pretty standard Charizard that's been going around. This is interesting, though. The 90 HP Pidgeotto over the 80. That's interesting. I don't know if this is maybe a case of this is all they had or whatever. But, it's fine. Yeah, so there was that. And then there's really nothing else as far as, like, here that catches my eye. Like, I don't really care about Zoroark. He probably cheats. Let's look this Mega Kangaskhan. Pretty standard. That's cute. Now, this one doesn't play Badoo, and it does play Pecharunt. It plays 2 Yveltal. That's pretty cool. 3 Monk. Okay, I mean, that's fine and dandy. There's nothing really there that I care to look at. Oh, they didn't update Brisbane. Okay. So they've got Gadance, but they don't have Brisbane. Huh. So that'll be interesting, to say the least. Upcoming major events. Let's see what we got over here. Vegas in a couple of weeks. That'll be big. Stuttgart, Buenos Aires, Latin American. It's the same week as LAIC. That's going on right before break. That's also going to be about the time that a couple of the cups and tournaments that I'm trying to go to are going on. We got Seattle. Hey, they finally updated, or they finally added Orlando. They added Houston. All right, cool. So those are going to be 2 of the big ones, and then I'm also going to try to hit up. Didn't added it, but yeah, Houston, Orlando, and Indianapolis. Definitely going to be trying to hit those up as well. So, going back to this. So now the question is how does this affect locals? How does this affect my tournament prep? And by my tournament prep, I'm talking about your tournament prep. So how does this affect tournament prep? Well, I really don't think, it's a tricky question. Let me take a sip of drink real quick. Well, I think it also starts too with how tuned in and how dialed in your meta is. That's going to be the first thing that I would inquire and I would consider, because depending on like how tuned in your meta is in your local area is really going to depend on how all of this is going to affect. Now, if you're like, but then the next thing about it is too is like, if they're really tuned into it, one of two things are going to happen. You're going to have the people that are going to see like these two decks and they're going to be like, oh my god, I've got to play these decks. These decks are so good. Blah, 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 blah. Like, totally get it. Now, a very astute, a very observant scene is going to see the same list, let's see these same results. The same thing with Brisbane too. They're going to see these results and then they're going to try to pivot to it or pivot to counter it. All right. Now, here's the other thing. If you play in a very informed like scene, but you just have every Joe and Chuck and Larry jumping on this and not really trying to really much cater it, like you could sit there and make this like Gholdengo Rocks deck, play test it against it a couple of times, and then you're good. All right. Then the other part of it is though too, you just kind of know what's going to happen, and you're like, all right, Gholdengo won a regional. I should expect Gholdengo to there'd be an uptick in Gholdengo. Excuse me. So then the question is, do I either play it or do I play something that can beat it? Because when I saw that, I was like, oh, great. I guess I'll just keep playing Terra Box. So that was my first thought with it. The other thing about it is too, and I get it, every dog has its day. My opinion, I don't really care much for like the version with the rocks. I'll play some games with it here in a little bit, but like if I'm being honest, like it doesn't really do much for me. And I feel like with, yes, you're able to see a lot more cards and everything, but I just feel like with the fewer amounts of energy that you have access to, like it feels harder to hit the numbers that you need. Now, granted, that could be different depending like on like Fontana's list and like Magda's list. I don't know. Like I said, and then try it out, see what happens. But I don't know. But again, I think it's the same thing too for me. Like it also just goes with the fact that like I've never really been big on Gholdengo. Like I know people that play it, and I'm like, hey, I wish you well. But for me, I just find it boring. So they're going to do that, so you can expect to see that. So I would either play something that can beat it, or has a good match, or has like an even matchup into it, and then you basically just beat somebody purely off of skill. Now, the other side of that is you play in an area where the people aren't as informed, or you play in an area where maybe like, you play with people that don't really have a lot of money. And, that is the case. Like I've played in areas and I've played tournaments in places where like metas are so far behind because, it's not a very particularly wealthy area. And it's like, oh, well, Pokemon's that. Well, I mean, it's like, I'm not like get a little personal political commentary. I mean, like, economy's rough. Like, things are getting crazy, and like, I can tell you from a fact of just like looking around and seeing like how like so many like fewer people are just like trick or treating every year. Like, it's a pretty good indicator of things. So, a lot of that tends to happen is that like you can find places that like are just so far behind, or there's people they know stuff, but it's like they play 1,000 different games, so Pokemon's not a priority and their decks are like way behind. And then you show up to this league challenge, you show up this league cup thinking like people are going to be playing like stuff that's doing well or stuff that's like current, and you make a bad deck choice just solely because everything else is behind and you don't know what to do. So, it can go either way, but at the end of the day, this is why you practice. This is why you stay sharp. This is why you keep your ear to the ground and you do the best that you can to keep yourself in position. So I think there is that. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get everything set up and we'll start. And we will start getting some games going. Yeah. All right, everybody, welcome back from that break. Yeah, so I'm sitting here looking at. I was able to find the list that one Gdansk over the break. So like I'm sitting here trying to look at what it's got, and right now it has 3 Buddy Buddy Poffin, 4 Nest Ball. It doesn't play an IO, no. It plays 2 Air Balloon. Plays no Counter Catcher. Plays a Picnic Basket. Only plays a Super Rod, which we don't have in here. So we'll do that. Only plays 1 Artisan. And it plays 4 Metal. And then 3, 6, 7. All right, so it plays 11 Energy. I'm not going to figure out what the other ones are. So I got 4 Boss. I've got 3 of those. I got the Picnic Basket. I need the Nest Balls. That's what I need. Hey, Popcorn. How you doing this evening? Thanks for dropping in. How's your evening been? Alright, now I'm confused. I'm sitting here trying to figure this out. Oh, I see. So this list doesn't play Cypher Maniac. Okay, this is interesting. Alright. So this will be interesting to see. Alright, let's see what happens. We're gonna be a Guldango bot here and see what this. I'm brewing Phantasmal Flame decks at the moment. I want to see. Yeah, what you got going on? I definitely want to go first with this. Yeah, it's the same as kind of like my handle on here. It's the same exact thing. Or that could be anything right now. Oh, we're definitely not doing that. It's not bad. Not bad at all. All right, so Mega Sharpedo. That's interesting. Interesting. Yeah, so let me get through this game first, and then I'll take a look at it, and then we'll do that. All right, guys, this is clearly what I was talking about. Here comes the net decking. You know, this would be great. If I legit had a way to do that. Yeah, we're gonna hold off on that. This is not what I want to see, but okay. This is what I think it is. It's most likely going to be a game of like who whiffs a knockout. Yeah, I'm just gonna like cosmic beam this guy. Yeah, so to follow up on that question, you said that you're new to the game. What got you into Pokemon, if you don't mind me asking? Always like asking new players that question. I like competitive games. Hey, like, I'm about it. Cheers to that. Yeah. I wish the reason I got into that was a little bit more. I wish the reason I got into Pokemon was that simple. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I grew up with this. Like, oh wow, look at him, look at him doing the thing. So theoretically, if I can get past this, I'd imagine they have an energy in hand. Like, if I can get past this Flareon, we should be good. Terapagos, Pidgeot, Bear. Interesting. They already played Cyranos. I mean, it's like maybe they go Crystal. No, they're not going to go Crystal. They don't need a Crystal for this match. Okay, they do go Crystal. Crystal counter catcher. Alright, that's actually interesting. That's interesting. Well, that's an easy call right there. It's a very easy call. Alright, so we're gonna go Fez for 3. How many energy do I got? 3, 4. Kind of good on those. Throw that away. Alright, that kind of answers my question. Grab that. Get rid of that, get rid of that. Alright. Do this. Little coin bonus. Gonna grab 2 cards. And I'll do this here. Draw 1 more. Make sure that I can attach here. And then we're gonna make it rain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And the reason I kept the 1 fighting energy is so that like next turn I can use Lunatone's ability. So we got that. Does put us in a weird spot though as far as taking prizes. They very well could Ionos to 1, but we should be fine with the draw space that we have. And if push comes to shove, I can just use Mawwile's attack. So there we go. So then they're obviously going to go Bear. Although Bear doesn't get us there, this is most likely a check down on Fez. Which if they check down on Fez, that's like not the worst thing in the world. Terapagos, you're just making things easier for me at this point. I wish I knew what that card was. Oh, it's Black Belt. Oh, that's clever. Alright, that's cute. Alright, I don't hate it. Alright, so we're tied up 3 apiece. Alright, we're tied up 3 apiece. We've got Secret Box in hand. We top deck the sauce. Alright. We top deck the sauce. Now if I just had... Well, I kind of really want to take that down, honestly. I gotta keep that fighting energy in hand. So we got another Turo, there's petrol, that's kind of cool for the game. I'm gonna keep all of that. But I need to, like, thin this out better. There we go. Beautiful. I could have done, if I had it, I could have did Arven and got a Vitality Band, but Vitality Band I think is prized. I haven't seen it. So it really could go either way for them, honestly. Like, they have to Iona me this turn. They have to. Stretcher Bear. Oh, Eevee. Glass Trumpet. Okay, that's cool. I respect it. Alright, there it is. Called it. This guy puts an active spot. Oh, he did have Vitality Band. Let's do it for good measure. There you go. Alright. Got the first win on the board tonight. Alright, so we got the first win on the night. Alright, let's see what we got here. Find my cursor. Alright. Now we're gonna hop over real quick and we will look. Oh, hey, got into Ogerpon. Hop over into. Alright, so I'm gonna hop over here and take a look at Popcorn's list they sent me, which again, do you guys send me deck lists on Instagram? Send me deck lists on X, send me something over Discord. I'm more than happy to look at it and definitely help you with it. So let's take a look here at this deck list builder. All right, so straight up, off the top of my head, let me adjust this real quick. There we go. All right, so let's see what they got. Yeah, checking the list now. Let's see. 4 Carvana. So we got that. 4 Carvana. Yeah, they don't have the stuff updated. Yeah, so now they got Jaws over here. Oh, so they do have the translations. All right, cool. So there's that. Toxapex, 3 Toxels, 3 Toxapex. Okay. 1 Monk. Okay. Oh, just 1. And it's always a good rule of thumb too that like if you ever make these lists on Limitless, or if you just make these lists on Live, and I think I at least say this like once or I say this multiple times a week. I always recommend trying to like when you make your list, always make them um, as like accurate to like your list in person. It makes it so much easier like on the like when you have like the day of a tournament to be able just to like print it and not worry if like you have like the right list or not. I'm gonna take the chat thing off real quick so that way the entire thing can be seen. You got a Fez, pretty standard staple stuff. So Psyduck. By the way, always wanted this Psyduck. So we got Psyduck, got Tatsu. That's always a good card. Tatsu. And then Yveltal. I love that Yveltal from Mega Evolutions. This is just such a solid card. Like, and I think what sells me the most on it too is just the free retreat. I think that's just really good. Lily. 1, 2, 3, 4. Arven. I forgot that there's 1,000 different Arven cards now. Got a play set of those. So the first thing, and this is typically like what I always ask people when you're building a deck, and it's always just a good rule of thumb too for like when you are building the deck, and I mostly ask this just conversation purposes, is like, what is it you want to achieve with this deck? Because it's a good idea. It's a good question to ask yourself when you sit down to try to build a deck, whether it's, you know, you're looking at an archetype and you're going from that, or what you're trying to do is you're trying to come up with something on paper. Like you see a card and you're like, yo, I think this is a really good card. I want to build a deck on it. Well, like again, first thing you want to ask yourself is like, what do you want to do? And right off the bat, I can look at this like, I like how consistent this is. You have a lot of really good counts of a lot of really good consistent cards. So that way, like I'm looking at this and you're just trying to keep it as simple as possible, which really early on when you're building a deck, like you want to just keep it as consistent as possible. Like you're not trying to like tech out for like 1,000 different things, because when this comes out, you know, the meta's going to look different. I want to go second, Tatsu to search for Arven. Arven goes for Buddy and Evo. So then, all right. Tourmaline, Evil, and Toxic Carvana. All right, so we want to do that. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah. No, and typically like that's a really good rule of thumb to try to always try to do that. I'm making sure I got everything here. 1 soup. So then my next question would be then is, do you have any of this stuff proxied out and have you played it in person? I'm getting the cards soon. Yeah. So the other thing I would do too with this, especially in the early stages, and people that I coach in person and people that I play test with person, just in anything like that, is they'll tell you in the early stages of a meta or like anything like that with rotation, like I always take notes. And I'm not talking like you're taking notes mid game of like what's prized and everything like that. A lot of like what I'll do is like I'll take those notes and I will note, like I'll pay attention to particular things. Like how many times, how many, let's say like out of 10 games, how many times do I go second and I'm able to TM Evo? And if that's like something you really want to try to focus on and something you really want to hit, that's something that I would pay attention to, and that's something I would try to keep up if that's very critical to your strategy. All right, we sitting at 60? Yeah. All right, so we're sitting at 60. Good. So let's see. Carvana. 70 HP, Reckless Charge. It's cute. All right. Big boy. 330, Grass Weakness. Free Retreat, solid. First attack, Greedy Fang. Draw 2 cards. Love that. Hungry Jaws. If this Pokemon has any damage counters on it, this attack does 150 more damage. So we're looking at 270. Okay, 270. That's without Mochi. Okay. Um. So the first thing I would notice, so Toxtricity, bad upper, usability once to return, search your deck for a basic energy card, attach it to one of your bench Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. If you need this, you put 22 damage counters on that Pokemon. So basically it looks like we're going to go Toxtricity into Monk to then be able to help hit numbers with Sharpedo. So this is what I would consider. And again, I always tell people this all the time of like, if you're gonna watch, like, like everything that I tell you, take what you need and leave the rest. Like, you might find something I say useful and you might like that, and then you're like, you know what, it didn't really seem helpful, but just take what you need, leave the rest, and hope you get something out of it. So like honestly, what I would do is I would go and drop this down to a 2/2, and then I would up this to at least 2 or 3. And my reasoning is that even though we have 330 HP, Ogerpon is a thing. And that Teal Mask can easily just come out of nowhere and just bop you on the head. So it's like Teal Mask, Ogerpon, well, the Myriad Leaf Storm, it's 3 energies, so that's base 30, so it's like 60, 90, 120, the 150 for your first energy, and then 180 for your second, and that's 368 damage right off the bat. And then we're instantly down 3 prizes. So the name of the game with this is like, I wouldn't want to be trying to trade 2 shots with this deck. Like I just wouldn't. I wouldn't want to be trying to trade 2 shots with it. So I would go and cut this down. The other thing with that too then is I would also up this to 2 Stretcher and a Rod. So that way I can be able to grab more of these pieces out. And again, with a 3/3, or with like a 2/2, bench space will get in the way. Bench space will get in the way. So I would try this at 2/2 and maybe put this to like a 2 or maybe even a 3, because of just how crucial that can be. All right, they're both dark. Hold on, I'm gonna do this. So the other thing I would think too, Gravity Mountain's good. that can help us against Charizard. That can help us with. That can help us also with Dragapult as well. Oh goodness, I accidentally dropped a card. So that's good. Max Belt, I like Max Belt. Binding Mochi, like Binding Mochi. What I would do, let's see. So I think the other thing I would try to do too is I would play around with the Buddy Buddy and the nest ball count. So like for instance, like you're gonna get to a point eventually where having all of these isn't gonna really do you any good. Yeah, it's just gonna be a dead card. So what I would try to do then is I would play around with this. I would maybe say between I wouldn't go no lower than 3 because like if I went like say like you did a 3-3 like on nest ball buddy buddy, so then that way you could so then that way too you could also put in other stuff. And like by other stuff I mean we could put let's see, what's another one? Because I want to look at non EX attackers. Let's see what other Sharpedos there are. That one does. Okay, that's actually a bad idea. Because the other thing I would think about too that would also be really cool is if we did. Because if we used a Grimsley here. Because I think like maybe 1 or 2 of these would also be really good. We could do that. Get out of Grimsley. So that way we could get this down. We could get this down like right away. Right off the bat. That would be something I would consider. Another thing that I would also consider as well in the deck. Really? You think Grimsley sucks? Why do you think it sucks? Can't use it first turn? Well, I mean, it's a lot of the point of it too is like I wouldn't want to be using it first turn anyways. I would want to try to set up my board before I did everything. This is kind of more of like a mid to late game card where like our deck's thinned out and we don't have the time to want to like evolve, put down a Carvanha or try to like put down a Toxel, you know, because it's like one particular matchup that I can think of is Dragapult Dusknoir. That's one thing that I would think about where you know they're a Hawlucha and a Phantom Dive away from knocking you out, and you know yes we have this, we have the Psyduck, but a lot of times though too like people forget like just how easy this thing is to knock out if you're not making proper adjustments for it. You know, like if you don't get the Mist Energy on it, I can still Holocha and like Phantom Dive you. So Grimsley is definitely something that like I'm not putting a whole lot of focus on it. Like I'm maybe putting like 1 or 2 cards, 2 at the most. So I would try that for starters. Um, let's just do this. Let's do Dark Pokemon and just see what we. Well, this is gonna probably give me too much. Now I like this. I like the Survivor, but I don't like the energy cost. That's the other thing that I don't like. If I have any Mega Evolution in play, this Pokemon do 120 more damage, which is good. But again, 3 energy is not something I want to really be dedicating a lot of time and energy to. Mega Absol would be interesting. But I think with just like the way that like this deck's set up, like this deck wants to attack fast. So, and this too is another case that I would say for trying to run Grimsley is from the conversations I've had with other people, like this seems like one of the decks that would be best poised to be able to run it. And you don't have to dedicate a lot to it. It's like maybe I play one or two. I maybe play like one copy if I'm like playing two Grimsley, and I play that with. You could also play Academy at Night with it too, so. All right, breaks over. So this is another thing that I would consider too is Rigid Band. Rigid Band's gonna make their attacks do 30 less damage, and a lot of people aren't playing tool removal, like surprisingly. And yeah, there is the chance that somebody plays Jamming Tower and turns the ability off, but that then comes down to you just having to like play smarter with your stadiums and just knowing there's this. Now, the other thing, going back to like what you were saying about how like you want to try to go turn one, go second, turn one, and be able to like do Evo. What I would consider and what I'd recommend, just solely based off of like what you have here, is I'd play Town Store. Excuse me. I play Town Store because Town Store's gonna let you get your Evo. You can get a Mochi, and it'll grab your max belt off the jump. So the other cool thing too about this deck is that you could very well play it kind of like a lot of decks will play like Guldango and like Terrabox and other things like that. It's like you can play a board with a bunch of single prizers until like you need to play down a two prizer. So that kind of plays to your advantage. Three boss is good. Um, hmm. Because like if you wanted to, like if you were really dead set on keeping Gravity Mountain, you could do a one. Like we could do a 1-1 split, but just kind of like based off of like your message. I would do something maybe like that. So that way I've got access to these tools. Um, we really only need Buddy once or twice, so we could drop that. And then I would do this. Now, here's another question too to ponder. Yes, we get 2 energies off of this, but we also have this grabbing energy out of the deck. So then we potentially can run into an issue here where like we don't have anything for this. So what I would do in this case is I would cut the vessels entirely. Like, and I would just play Energy Search. I'm going to put you on the best Energy Search. Who am I kidding? I'll play the original Energy Search. Now, I would play Energy Search because if we've already got a energy coming out of the deck from Toxtricity, then all we really would need is just this right here, or to draw into it. Because, yeah, you can thin, you can do all this other stuff with it too, but at the same time, that's what you should be doing. Like 2 of these over the 2 vessels. Um, like just like ripping me, like pulling stuff out. So that's like what I would do from there. Um, that's fine. That's fine. Hmm. Yeah. So I think another thing too. Like you got 4 of them. Like you got 4 Carvana, but I'm like, do I really need 4 Carvana? Because if I need it, like, because this is the weird thing about it. They only have to, like, maybe I was just away from. Yeah. No, that's. No, it's on my end. Like, I can, yeah, everything's fine on my end. That was the first thing is I made sure. Weird. Hmm. Can you hear me now? Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. Yeah. All right, how about now? How about now? That's good. All right, sweet, good. Um, so last thing you heard was about energy switch, right? Or energy search. So, um, I'll tell you another card too that I think would be really good. Would be, let's see, another one. So another thing we could consider is we could also consider energy switch. Just if like, let's say we had let's say like we had a situation where we had what we wanted to attack with in the active spot, but we needed an energy. Just they didn't have it. We couldn't access Pecharunt or just whatever. So what I would want to do then is that also I could just have this as a way to like move energy and then or move it onto a monkey dory or move it from a monkey dory to another monkey dory or from something to the active. That would be something that I would think about too. And you really don't want to play like a lot of them. Maybe you play one, two at the most. I know like I play one of these in my Grimmsnarl deck and it is amazing. And anybody that I've put them on to energy switch in that deck, they all say the same thing like, "Oh, that's such a cool idea." Another one too, and this is mostly for just another one that I would consider too would be air balloon. I don't know, I misspelled that. Another one that I would consider would be air balloon, and the air balloon would be for it would just be like for Tatsugiri, Psyduck, anything that I don't have Pecharunt, because a lot of the times too, what they're gonna do is, you know, you don't want to put that poison damage because the poison damage could be the difference between a knockout and not giving your opponent a knockout. So air balloon would be something that I would consider. Again, it's a one of. We could probably play around with this. We could play around with this count. I wouldn't touch this, and I wouldn't touch this. It probably could be just because I'm like too close to it. Yeah. Let me double check that on my end. Yeah, it's kind of funny how like all that works out. Like it's microphones and everything are so fickle. Yeah, they're so fickle. I put the screen over my mic so like it should kind of cut out anything else like that. But we could do air balloon. We could do Have you thought about Blood Moon or Saluna? Because between Pecharunt and the Turo that you have, I don't see why it wouldn't be a bad idea to play it. Just because we get that 240 and then we can hit 280 if it's poisoned. Yeah. So I thought about that. Shrink this. There we go. So I thought maybe we could like do that. Oop, I'll move myself over here. Yeah, so maybe like maybe Blood Moon. And if I did put a Blood Moon in there, I'd probably do this. Like if I put one in there. Cuz you think like, oh, well, my Carvanha count's going down, but they only really need to knock out 2. We can't poison their Saluna though. Yeah, you're right. But enough with like Max Belt or even the Monk, like the Adrenaline Brains are on there. Because a lot of times, like, you're not really trying to use. A lot of times, like, you're not trying to use it as like the big like de facto attacker. Like, a lot of the times, it's just like in there to clean up. It's in there to clean up. It's in there to try to just close games out. Trying to think. Do the band. Use a rigid band. Try rigid band. And then that way, like, we could soak up a hit. Another one too, and this is probably something that like you'd rather have the 4. Yeah, again, that's totally fine. Totally fine. So then things that I would kind of keep in there, like obviously if you would keep if you'd keep this, like there we go. And then everything I'm gonna put here is like stuff that like you could just keep in your deck box just if you wanted to have it. Like you could do a Defiance Ban. You could do a third monkey. Um, Terrible at these names. Yeah, so like a third monk. We could also do the. You just keep the Toxaline if you wanted to. Well, it's gonna. You could keep the Toxaline in there. Research. Just because research is just always so good to have. Like 1 or 2 copies of research. Trying to think what else. Yo, not any of these. In's plan would be cute. Could always use black belt. But I wouldn't really bank on that. I mean, if you're already playing the, like if you're already playing like the max belt and everything, I wouldn't try to like worry too much about it. Black belt. We don't want Cyrano. We can't run Crispin. Gravy Charm doesn't do us any good. Alakazam wouldn't be too much of a isn't too much of a factor, so I wouldn't sweat that too much. This is another one that I would also consider too, the protective goggles. Actually, no, I forgot that it's only basic Pokemon, so forget that. Practice Studio helps us do 10 more damage, but I don't know how much that much of a difference that 10 damage would be. This is also good too. EXP share would be good too, just because we'd be able to keep the energies on the board, and with running 8, we might not always have an access to them. So there's that. Another thing that we could do too, if we wanted to really go into just getting the like if I really wanted to lean into getting the damage down. There's that stadium that puts damage on the Pokemon the moment they come in. It's like risky something. Could have swore it was in there. Let's do stadiums. Yeah. Oh wait, that's right. It's not in the Scarlet Violet era. That's why. I don't have a page for the Mega Evolution stuff. Yeah, Risky Ruins. Yeah. This year, whenever any player puts a basic non-dark Pokemon on their bench during their turn, you put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So that would be another thing that you could put in there too, like 2 copies if you really wanted to lean into that. So that's another option. And like I said, everything kind of like after the energy, this is just stuff that like you could kind of keep around if you wanted to just play around with that stuff. You know, Artisan's always going to be good. Artisan's always going to be good no matter what. This new Battle Coliseum is also good too. This, in a way, is also going to kind of be able to handle with snipe damage, and it'll be able to handle the effects of attacks and abilities from opponents. So in a way, like, it can, you know, mitigate some of those issues as well. I tell you what we could do is once you get the cards and everything for it, follow up with me in a week, and then we could go from there. Because typically, kind of like, you know, it's good like when you get stuff down, like I said, like, and you want to get like you want to get a good feel for the list, and then once you go from there and you have an idea of what it's good against, what it's not so good against, then you can kind of iron out a little bit more ideas. But that's basically what I would say is, you know, it looks really solid from what I saw. Like, this is kind of like my take on it. And like, you know, you did a lot right. You had really good counts of everything that you need. You know, the 4 Arv and the 4 Lilies, and then like this stuff was strong. So there was that. So yeah. So appreciate the follow, Popcorn. But yeah, like I said, follow up with me in about a week or so after you got the stuff down like in a list, and maybe you've like actually like played some games with it, and we'll follow up, and then we could probably talk about it more. But you know, I hope some of that helped, and I hope you got something out of that. But you know, congrats on, I would definitely say kudos on building a list and making it your own. You know, it's one of the beauties of this game is that you don't have to do everything that people, you know, like, you know, you can build decks your own way. And, you know, there are some ways that are obviously, you know, better than others, but at the same time, too, like, you know, uh, there is courage and there is beauty in uniqueness. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. That's what it's here for, you know, and that's why I do what I do. Is that, you know, I got 15 years of knowledge, and it doesn't do me any good if I don't share it with other people, because that doesn't make me better. So yeah, build it, play some games with it, make sure you're taking notes with your games, what works, what doesn't work, and check back with me in a week or two. You can shoot me a message on Discord or wherever, and yeah, we'll go from there, man. But yeah, good stuff. Anyways, that being said, I'll get back to some games for those of you that actually want to watch some gameplay. Last game we played with Goldie Rocks, won it pretty handily, and you'd be surprised, because a lot of the times though, like, there's situations where you're not always trying to Arven. There's like turns where you'll have to boss. There's turns where you have to Lily. And really just kind of like what the town store does is it ups your odds of being able to hit that TM sooner or not. Because trust me, there's times where I've played decks with 4 Arven, and I don't. I will hit everything but what I need. But again, it's the thing of like what I said too, of like, it's why you try it, it's why you test it and see if it works, see if it doesn't. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, put the card back in the binder and it doesn't work. But it's like, if you want, and a lot of it too is like, again, it's like if you, oh, this is gross. It's if you like, again, if it's really trying to like, you're dead set on trying to always hit that like turn 1 TM Evo, that's going to be the best way to do it. This is gross. That's weird. This is such an atrocious matchup since I don't play any like hand disruption. See, and this is the kind of stuff that I would talk about too. Is that there are gonna be people that are gonna be playing Alakazam at these tournaments because it's cheap and because it's the lulz. I can't stand it. It makes me almost at a point where I'm like, where it makes me just like at a point, like just everything plays like 4 Iona, where I just start playing Xerosic and everything. Which honestly, like Xerosic wouldn't be that bad. Like honestly, like Xerosic wouldn't be bad, especially like if a lot of people are going to be playing Gholdengo too. Like you could really mess some people up that way. I might actually do that. But I don't know exactly like how you know. Oh wow. So stunning. So brave. You know what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like Turo up this Gholdengo after I like make it rain, and then just hit him that way. Like a coin bonus. I'm gonna go ahead and get another Gimmighoul out. Pick this up. Do this. And I'll just smack them this way. And then just make them beat me that way. Yeah. I think that would probably be the best way to do it. Is make sure that they've got a single prizer to swing into. I think my next move then is probably another Turo to pick up the Genesect. Because they're sitting right now at 200. They're about to be at 210. Yeah, so anything at this point kind of just could be knocked out. But then at the same time, too, that Alakazam looks pretty spicy right there in the back. The same goes with that Dragapult with the Jacloak with the fire. Alright, now they got a Fez, so you know we got to attack that. I'm almost of the impression that like I go after the Fez next turn. Because I mean, I'll be able to get Solrock back. These decks don't play hand disruption, so I'll be able to basically pull anything that I want. It's just a matter of, can I draw into the things that I need? So they're going to give me an Alakazam. So now it's basically a foot race of can I get to the bird before they take a 2-prizer. Because if they take a 2-prizer here, it's going to get weird. And I don't play any hand disruption anyways, other than like 1 Iono, so kind of hard to be able to see. It's going to be interesting to see, to say the least, of like what I can and can't do into my turn. So, alright, so naturally there's that. They're going to hit me for 320. Nothing is safe. And it's not like I'm not going to like... I almost feel like I have to chase the... Alright, so they don't kill it. So it's like I almost feel like I have to chase the Pheasantipity now before they could pick it up with Turo or something. Because then after that I can kind of just sweep pretty easily. Yeah. Let's start with this. And with like 3 Gholdengo, I should be able to pull everything I need. Oh yeah. Easily be able to pull everything I need. Grab that. So I really only need 5 energy. The real question though is like, do I have the 5 energy? Should have it now. Oh yeah, well, I should definitely have it now. Better off throwing away the fighting energy and keeping the metal in hand for the next guys, because we know they're going to knock that out. So as long as there's nothing crazy that happens, we got it. We got it wrapped up. Got it pretty wrapped up here. Yeah. So this is the second time that I've played against this version that has Dracloak in it. And, like, honestly, I think the Dunsparce version is better. Like, the Dunsparce version, it's like... I feel like every time I've played against it, like, if there's a card in the deck, they see it. And they just instantly are able to pull everything they need. Alright. This got interesting really quick. Crystal. Yeah, this got very interesting really quick. This guy's about to like Dragapult me. Oh my god. Nope. But then at the same time too, why would you do that when you've got a single prize? Well, I could see why. 400 damage, that is insane. But you love to see it. You really do. Yeah, I should have put up a Gholdengo. No, I need to make sure that I take a I gotta make sure that I take a knockout every turn. That's definitely a good way to make sure that I do. What sucks is I've gotta... Yeah, what sucks is I've got to get rid of 3 energy. I don't want to. Got that just in case. Guess I can get rid of those. Yeah, I'm definitely not spending 350 damage on that. Yeah. Alright, so we got that. So unless they do something weird... Which I don't see a situation where, like, if they were to attack with Dragapult, it benefits them at all. It makes more sense for them to attack, and it makes more sense for them to attack with Alakazam than anything. Unless they evolve into Dragapult and then they Iono me and say, beat me that way. That would be the only way. So there it is. Now if they do the Iono, I'm going to laugh. Or they're banking on me just not to have enough firepower left in the tank to, like, be able to one-shot it. But even then, like, what are they... Like, it's going to take them 2 turns to be able to take a 3-price knockout. So there's a Stretcher. Yeah, so Stretcher. Oh, and they already attacked. They already evolved. They already touched the energy. So, yo. Are they just trying to, like... Oh! They did it! Oh my god. Oh my god. That's so funny. See, that is exactly... Yeah, if I hadn't said anything, no, it probably wouldn't have happened. Probably wouldn't have happened if I hadn't said anything. I just willed it into existence. Alright. So this gets weird. I've got to... Dude, just put it on one of the rocks. Don't overthink it. You either got it or you don't. Alright, so we've got to win this turn. We've got boss in hand. And they've given me... Well, I got 2 bosses in hand. They have given me more than enough firepower to do anything. I just need A energy. I just need A energy. And we've got so many ways to get it. Alright, 3 cards for the game. Here we go. Coin bonus number 1. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. And this is why you don't overbench, children. This is why you don't overbench. That's why it's important that we always make sure we get a good read on the game state and what the situation calls for. Now, it's very smart that, oh, late game you go and you put up this big 320 HP guy that I can't one-shot necessarily. So, I mean, that's smart, that's clever, but don't give me an out where all I have to do is just check down. Now, granted, I definitely drew very well there, but I wouldn't have... I'll let this thing figure itself out in a second. Yeah. I wouldn't have dumped everything like I did. And especially, like, if the whole purpose of that is, like, eventually you're just gonna Iono. And it's all gonna go to the bottom of the deck anyways. So it doesn't really do much for you, like, if you're just trying to thin in that way. Now, if you were maybe playing something like Judge or like Lilies, yeah, I could understand trying to do that, like if you were trying to go for broke. But if everything you're trying to do is just to, you know, think you're trying to thin your deck out like that, it doesn't really do much good for you, because I mean, like, at the end of the day, it's all going to go to the bottom of the deck. Like, your cards are going to be safe. So, I don't know. It is what it is. We're 2-0. I'm not complaining. Beautiful hand. Beautiful hand. Alright, there's that. And we're going first, so I don't really think there's much of anything we need right now. Playing against Gardevoir. If this is the Energy Search Pro version of this deck, like, I'd be very happy with this first turn. 2 Goldango and then a way to get Energy Search Pro. Yeah, I'd be very happy. Now, to be fair, this actually could be a very tough matchup for us. I think it, though, depends on... I think it depends really on... Oh, they're collecting. All right. Okay. Like, honestly, I want Solrock right now. If I have a way to get Solrock, I'm good. I don't want to give him Artisan. Don't want that. Yeah, I'll tell you the thing, in like the 3 games I've played so far, like, I have not used Mega Mawile once. There we go. And it cuts the resistance, so yay. There we go. So our 3 Goldengos. They're sitting on 9 cards with 1 Ralts. Not giving them the Artisan was, oh, well, they've got this. They're going to throw away 3 Psychic Energy. Always happens. Always happens this way. 3 Psychic Energy, Rare Candy, and a Gardevoir, and they say beat me, and I'm like, why do you do this to me? Alright. So be it. I could get there with 7 energy. But that's just going to be that's going to be a very tall order. There's the Rare Candy. There's the Ultra Ball. Oh, so they don't have the... There's the Fez. There's an Artisan. We only have one slow rock, so we're not going to be able to Loon Town. Just like realistically, I probably want to just get. Like, I just want to get. If anything, I would want to get. What is it? Pheasantipity. Huh. That's interesting. So there's the vessel. There's all of those. Yeah, this is... Yeah. That's crazy. All of that off one Lilies. Interesting. Yeah. I don't know what they were doing. I'm not going to argue with it. I'm not going to argue with it. I forgot to put the chat box back up. Yeah, so there we go. So 3-0. Wow. Love that. So that was weird, but I am not going to complain about it. All right, let's see. Play one more game before we call it a night, and let's get this into Eternatus ranking and go from there. Well, yes, I want to go first. This will be fun. All right, so we're gonna get Grimmsnarl. I'm gonna get Grimmsnarl. This will be fun. They're probably gonna be trying to play for a TM Devo turn, where it gets weird for us. He's constantly having to try to like throw away 7 energies every single time. I don't think it's going to be able to happen, and we're going to have to probably just take 2 quick knockouts and then run it that way. Plus, we're going to be we're going to be on the clock anyways, just because of Frostlass. So it plays out. It realistically plays out in a scenario where they it plays out in a scenario where they just play for the TM Devo play. I don't like seeing Monkey Door in the active spot. And the reason I don't like that is because I have to get rid of all 3 of my energies. Not something I want to do. But with the way they're playing, it's looks like I very well may be able to just win. Let's hope they whiff a supporter. Let's hope they whiff a supporter. Alright. You know, I can dream. We all have dreams. I can dream. Alright. Well, this does make things a little bit... Oh. Why? Like, I'm almost at this point where I'm like, I just play 3 secret boxes and throw away something. You know they're gonna do that. They passed! Oh my god, they passed! Holy cow, they passed. Okay. Composure. I don't need to overdo it. I think I just hold on to these. Yep. It's important to pay attention to the cards. Yeah, go ahead, do that. Please do that. I will let you play that so I can get my Soul Rock down in a heartbeat, man. Do not tempt me with a good time. So they're just gonna... Why don't I play that in here? Like, I should just make a separate version that plays the Least Determination. Like, keep this one, then have a duplicate that just does that. Because right now, like, I want that in the stack. So we'll get our Soul Rock. We're only gonna have 1 Soul Rock again this game. Crazy. So, Lunicycle. Put the air balloon on him. This up, and the whole purpose of this again is just to keep everything off of this. And I probably should have went for the Impidimps, but I think with like how many abilities eventually I'll have on the board, I think going for the Snow Run's probably smarter in this case. Like if I was playing something else like Terra Box or Raging Bolt, like I would be going for the Impidimps, but with just how many abilities that the Gholdengo deck has, and I don't have something like Area Zero that if it gets bumped I can clear my bench, and I'm really only relying on Turos. I don't think that's it. So here's a Monk. I got both their monks set up. I'll tell you what's also interesting too, they have not evolved anything. I'm gonna have to be careful here too, because I'm gonna have to be careful. I'm still gonna be item locked here. There's an Arven. This could be Candy. This could be Candy something. Secret box. They're going to bump that Artisan for Spikemuth. Nope, they're just going to do that. Fine by me. Too bad I can't play that. Do I want to get a third one? Yeah, just go ahead and get a third one down. And then we just kill the Bidoof. So as long as I'm not leaving energy. So as I'm not leaving damage on their board, like I'm good. So there's our other Solrock if we need it. This is going into being a Grimmsnarl. We do have the picnic basket, so we do have options with that. There it is. So now, like, in what situation, like, does this present a situation, like, they don't play, like, they could play Defiance Ban. They could play Max, well, no, they can't play Max Box, they just played Secret Box. Okay, so they do play Defiance Ban. Okay. So now I'm in a position where, yeah, I'm just in a position. let's put it like that. We're in a position. Oh. Yeah, we are in a position. You know what? It's okay. Like you know what? That's fine. That's fine. Whatever floats your boat. And we were able to draw out of it, at least. It wasn't so bad. Alright, so now what I'm going to do here is, like, I'm just gonna pass. Yeah, I'm just gonna pass. Alright, so it is 80 times for each prize card, so I've done 240. That's not what I want to do, but cool. And he forgot to do Spikemuth. okay with that. I'm also okay with that too. Secret box will get me. Alright, let's see what we can do here. Big turn. That's gross. If I could just get a way to, man, like if I can get a way to get energy on Maul Wild, I win. Well, no wonder they were just chilling, man. As long as they don't evolve Snorunt. Okay, they can evolve with Snorunt, all I care. I win. That's nice. And they've already burned both of their counter catchers, so we got it either way. This is actually a very good game. It's a very good game indeed. There's a snow, there's a Frostlass. They finally got a Frostlass out. But I credit a lot of this win just for the fact that like I didn't leave any unnecessary damage on their side of the board. Like the only time that like you saw in this match that I ever put damage on their side of the board was if I was taking a knockout. So all we really need to do here is just do this, treat, bring this up. Like there's no point in trying to drag it out. Be a good honorable opponent. Don't try to slow roll them. Alright. So there we go. Yeah. So I, strangely enough, went 4-0 with Gholdengo tonight. It's a very interesting. This is the list that won the Gdansk regionals. It's pretty decent. Pretty decent little deck. It's definitely giving me some things to think about. It's definitely giving me something to think about, and might have to play around with this some more. So I definitely see how that plays out. I'm just waiting to try to see if this thing like updates. There it goes. This internet's slow. All right, there we go. We hit the Eternus ladder. All right. That being said, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here tonight. And yeah, so that was definitely, it was definitely a good stream. Appreciate Popcorn sharing the deck list with me tonight. Always love helping people with that, especially new players. Again, like I always say, that's why this stream's for. This is strictly just educational, help everybody get better. I'm gonna be back at it Tuesday night about the same time, 9:30 Eastern, doing the same thing that we're doing, just helping, coaching, playing cards, and getting better. Also, be sure to catch the stream on Wednesday night when I stream locals. It's gonna be in-person games, about 3 or 4 rounds of that, and that's always fun. And then going forward, going to be on the road this weekend, going to a couple of League Cups as I'm trying to sit there and keep pushing towards my World's Invite. So